It's really important to be productive regardless of where you are. And today I want to show you one of the tools that I'm developing for 2021. At Prison Professors, we really want to help as many people who are going through the criminal justice system prepare in the most effective way possible. We want them to develop the skill set and the confidence that will help them really get in control of their own life. And I'm going to share the tools that I learned about from leaders who taught me that regardless of where I am, regardless of what external circumstances are around me, I can always make progress toward becoming something better. And that made all the difference in the world for me. Regardless of where I was, I could, as long as I understood what I was trying to achieve, I could build something. And I know that anybody who's going into the system, whether they're just going into the judicial system, whether they are facing sentencing, whether they're going into the prison system, whether they are in prison, or whether they're coming out, if they create this methodical, deliberate manner of being productive every day, they can make all the difference in the world. And what you see here on this list is this new journal that I'm designing. Right now, my working title for it is the 2021 Journal. It's an Earning Freedom quarterly journal. So I intend to produce 4 of these every year. I'll have this first one done, I hope, before the end of September, maybe even by the end of August. I mean, it depends on what my workload is like. But you see, it's going to be somewhat consistent, where every day we're going to say the day of the year. We're going to say the date and the day, and then how many days that I have remaining. And the reason that I want to do that is because that was the tool that I learned. I frequently write from our course, Be the CEO of Your Own Life. And I learned these lessons from CEOs of businesses. And what do they have to do every quarter? They have to apprise their shareholders of what level of progress they have made, right? So that's why it's a quarterly journal. Every 90 days, if I'm looking, I've got to accomplish this goal within 90 days, I can make progress along those lines. And those quarterly goals must align with their annual goals. And it's this process of reverse engineering what I want to become. That's how we are able to muster the energy and the discipline to stay focused regardless of where we are. And this worked for me when I was in a high security penitentiary, when I was in a medium security federal correctional institution, when I was in a low security prison, and also when I was in a minimum security prison camp. But it also catapulted my level of opportunities and success when I got out of prison after 9,500 days. I really attribute these quarterly goals that I used to set and these daily accountability metrics as a fundamental tool in helping me overcome some of the challenges that many other people face when they are going into the system. So each one of these journal pages starts with a daily discussion, and that's basically what are we going to cover today. And I write not a lot, about 500 words description. So I want the reader to understand that I've been where they are. I'm not simply somebody who is telling them what to do. I'm showing them this is how I did it when I was in the beginning. This is why I went in there. And then you'll notice that every one of these entries has a bold word right here, right? And that bold word is designed to help people develop a stronger vocabulary. I consider a vocabulary and using communication skills as being a fundamental tool that will help an individual, whether that person wants to rise to the level of being the best landscaping contractor in society, or whether that person wants to become a lawyer in society after imprisonment. There are no limits to what an individual can achieve except the limitations that he places on himself. Now we have to be realistic. If somebody were going to start in the prison sentence as I was, say at 5'9", and say I want to get out of here at 6'5", those are things that he cannot control. But if he wants to go through prison and maybe become the president of his country, well, there is a precedence for that. If that's what he wants to do, we saw that in Nelson Mandela. A person can go through struggle and become something more. If the person wants to go through prison and come out and be a lawyer, we have seen ample precedent of people who have done that. What a person simply needs to be very methodical and learning to develop a vocabulary, learning to put words into sentences and sentences into paragraphs is an essential building block. And so each one of these journal pages, I'm going to use one word. It doesn't mean the person doesn't know it, but these are words that would have stumbled me when I was starting my journey. I knew I had a really bad vocabulary when I began serving my sentence. So I created a methodical plan to learn it. And this is, no big deal. I'm not asking you to do too much. Every day, learn a new word, or I'm going to introduce one word. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't know it, but this is a pathway. This is a pathway that I'm engineering with hopes of helping more people. And the other component of every day is that it will include what I call a critical thinking question, right? There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. But the way that I answer is forcing myself to think. I cannot answer this with a simple yes or no, right? How does a person define success while climbing through struggles? Okay, I want you, the participant, to be thinking about these questions. And I ask in each one of these lessons, I ask several. Okay, I ask several of these critical thinking questions, and there's a reason for these critical thinking questions. I want the person to learn how to communicate and respond to challenging questions. This skill set will help an individual when they're speaking with a potential employer, when they're speaking with a potential business partner, when they're speaking with a potential case manager in the prison who has the authority or the discretion to open levels of liberty. This is just like exercising any other part of our life. We've got to exercise our mind, because prison can tend to dumb people down. It can tend to, numb a person's critical thinking skills, because the system is always telling a person, you've got nothing coming. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. The prison is always telling the person, you are part of the system. We are going to obliterate our common humanity. But it's the individual's responsibility to figure out, how do I build that strength? How do I show that I can become something more than my current experiences? And so these exercises in critical thinking are part of the tool that I use. Now, in addition to that, I create then these self projections, of what somebody has to do. And I recognize not everybody's going to write them every day. So, and I'll show you how I'm formatting it, how I'm formatting each page. But each page, then I'm going to ask them to write the current date, make sure that their head is always in the game, and then to respond to 3 critical thinking questions. They don't have to. It's just a prompt, right? So while I was away, and last week I was in Kentucky and in New York, and I had time on airplanes and, while I wasn't working. And so I started crafting this thing out, and you can see, I've now built it to, I'm already up to, quite a bit. You see, there's a lot of work that goes into this. You can see how much work I've done. I'm already have more than 9,000 words here, and I think I'm on the 15th day I got to so far. So right now, I'm going to be writing day 15, right? So the next step of this is then to format it out. So to format it out so it turns into a book. And this is the way I use this program here, Adobe InDesign. This is the way that I make books. So I take the document and I lay it out. See, that's the left-hand side of the page right here. That's the right-hand side of the page right there. Every one of these pages is going to have the full calendar, right? These are the first 6 months on the left side and the right-hand side page. And then the area where the person has an opportunity to record his thoughts is going to go on the next page. And that will be the next 6 months. And you see every one of these, has the title. It's Visualize Your Success. This is kind of a mantra that we use at Prison Professors to help people prepare for the best possible outcome. So it's visualize your success. It's create your plan. It's set your priorities, and it's execute on those priorities. And we want people to, of course, know where to find our auxiliary products on our YouTube channel, on our iTunes podcast. And I do hope that you will subscribe to these messages. And at the end of the day, we want people to become the CEO of their life. And that means they've got to determine a strategy. They've got to create resources. They've got to measure progress. And they've got to make adjustments, because complications are going to come. So you see how I've, just kind of been laying this thing out. And this takes a lot of time, but I think it's a worthwhile project. You will see at the end of every Saturday, let me get to a Saturday. That's a Sunday. Let me go back to Saturday. On the Saturdays, I want to have a weekend recap, right? So every weekend, I want to both reflect on what have I done over the past week and also project on what should I be doing in the next week. So I ask a series of these open-ended questions. I offer a few suggestions, and this is really just to prompt people, because a lot of times people who are in prison, they find it difficult to be self-directed, and they find it difficult to participate in these kind of mindfulness exercises, these exercises to develop a strong mindset or to focus on what does it take to truly be the CEO of your life. These are the strategies that empowered me through 26 years in prison. It's what I want to show more people, so when they're going in, they can build their self-esteem, they can build their self-confidence, they can restore their sense of, I am in charge of my life. If we can do that with more people, we are going to disrupt what prisons have traditionally built, and they've built these systems, these factories that really perpetuate problems. The longer we expose somebody to corrections, the less likely those people are to emerge successfully. And these are the skill sets that I learned from studying leadership while climbing through 9,500 days in prison. They've made all the difference in the world in helping me come back strong with my dignity intact, and it's really important to share this with as many people as possible, not in a pushy way, but in a way that we hope inspires people. That's what Prison Professors is really all about. It's about inspiring people by showing you, I'm not asking you to do anything that I didn't do, that I don't teach other people how to do, that I didn't learn from great leaders. And I'm encouraging I gotta say we are encouraging every person that goes through our work to become the CEO of his or her life, to realize that you may be going through struggle right now, but it's not the end of the world. There is a pathway to becoming more literate with regard to developing strong critical thinking skills, developing strong communication skills. And the more you exercise these skills, if you pursue it in a daily manner, the stronger you're going to become in navigating your way through the labyrinth of a lengthy prison term. And I understand lengthy is a relative term. If you're away from the people you love and the people who love you, it is a lengthy term. I don't care if it's 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade, multiple decades. If you are apart, it's crucial to develop the mindfulness, the strength to become strong. That's what the Earning Freedom Journal is going to do. It's going to provide that level of roadmap and clarity, not as I define it, but as the participant defines it. So we do hope that you will subscribe to the Prison Professors program, because I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything that I am not doing. That means after I develop the journal, I will augment the journal by creating these videos that family members can work on with their loved ones. And they'll be able to see it every day. They'll see it on our various programs and platforms. That's what we want to create, is this level of engagement, so that when somebody comes out of the sentence, they have the tools to demonstrate, I didn't talk about preparing and architecting my way to success. This is how I did it. Here's the evidence. That's what these quarterly journals will do. It's the same way that a CEO out here communicates with shareholders, and it's the way that can work for you or your loved one if they're going through the challenges of a prison term or anything else. I am Michael Santos with Prison Professors. I am super enthusiastic about this project. I want to thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe, and please also leave a comment. Let us know what you would like to see us produce for you. I will be also, getting back into the podcast as well, but I think it's going to be a weekly podcast, or I'll give a weekly update of what you can find on the YouTube channel. Also, very excited to be sharing with you some of the development on Prison Professors, the new website that we're building, and the work we're doing with our sponsors at cbdtv.com. In fact, I've got a pretty exciting interview today about that project, but you're going to be able to see that soon enough. So stay tuned. Make sure that you subscribe so that you're notified every day when we produce new content. And if you're interested in CBD, I do hope that you will support our sponsors. Thanks so much.